Imagine this. You reach into an old box in the attic, pull out a dusty jar of pennies, and tucked inside is a coin that looks ordinary to anyone else. But to the right person, that single penny could change the course of your financial future. That is not fantasy. That is the very real story of the 1961 Lincoln Memorial penny with the D mint mark. A coin so rare in its highest grade that it has recently been valued at $961,000. Yes, almost $1 million for a single cent, and yet most people walk right past this hidden fortune. Why? Because they believe every penny is worthless. That belief is costing ordinary families the chance at life-changing wealth. Today, I will reveal the truth about the 1961 D. Lincoln penny. I'll show you why collectors are fighting for it, how you can identify one, and most importantly, why you must act now before this rare opportunity slips through your fingers forever. But first, let me ask you, when was the last time you looked closely at a penny? Really looked? Chances are you haven't. That hesitation, that small act of ignoring, might be costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars. The year is 1961. America was in the middle of a new frontier. President Kennedy inspired the nation to reach for the moon. The Lincoln Memorial had just become the backdrop on the reverse of every cent. And in Denver, the U.S. Mint struck millions of pennies with the D Mint mark. Most of those coins, like most of life's moments, were forgotten, spent, lost, melted down, or buried in collections. But a tiny handful were struck with such perfection, such flawless preservation, that they became treasures. These are the pennies collectors crave. The ones that command staggering sums at auction. Here's the shocking truth. A 1961 D penny in poor condition is worth just face value. A coin you'd toss in a tip jar. But in pristine condition, with sharp details, blazing luster, and zero imperfections, it has fetched values climbing close to $1 million. The current market value stands at $961,000. That is not a myth. That is reality in today's collector market. Now, let me pause. You might be thinking, how can one tiny cent be worth more than most homes? The answer lies in scarcity, condition, and demand. Think of it like art. A print of the Mona Lisa has no value, but the original, priceless. Your 1961 D penny could be the original that investors and collectors are desperate to own. And here is where the urgency comes in. The number of flawless examples is limited. Every year, more are locked away in private collections, never to see the open market again. If you wait, you may never get another chance. Let me reset your attention with a quick question. What's more exciting? Finding buried treasure on a pirate ship, or finding buried treasure in your own coin jar? The pirate ship requires a map. Your coin jar requires only curiosity.so. What do you do now? First, search. Dig through your change, your old jars, your inherited collections. Look for the 1961 penny with the small letter D just below the year. That mark means it was struck in Denver. Second, evaluate. Coins must be graded by professionals to confirm their condition. The difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth nearly $1 million is often invisible to the untrained eye. Don't assume. Verify. Third, act with urgency. Rare coins like this are more than collectibles. They are assets. They rise in value as demand grows and supply vanishes. Holding back means risking the chance that your penny's peak value will pass you by. And finally, remember this. Wealth does not always come from boardrooms, stocks, or real estate. Sometimes wealth hides in plain sight, in the coins we ignore every day. The 1961 D. Lincoln penny is proof that opportunity is waiting quietly for the ones who dare to look closer. Imagine your life if you found one. Imagine the security, the freedom, the ability to pass on not just a coin, but a legacy. That is why collectors chase this treasure. That is why you must start searching today. Because the next $1 million penny could already be in your hands. If this video opened your eyes, do not let this moment fade. Check your coins tonight. And if you want to learn about more rare pennies that can transform ordinary people into millionaires, subscribe now. Wealth leaves clues, and I will help you find every single one. Imagine this. You're holding what looks like an ordinary brown penny, A coin that millions of Americans toss into jars, glove compartments, or even the couch cushions. But what if I told you that one of those pennies could hold the power to change your life forever? Yes, a 1964 Lincoln Memorial D Mint Mark penny, a coin most people overlook, is today valued at nearly $964,000. Now, pause for a second. What would you do if you suddenly discovered that a coin worth 1 cent is secretly your ticket to a wealthy future? Would you spend it on coffee without knowing? Or would you hold on, realizing that you're gripping a fortune in disguise? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes, I'm going to reveal why the single coin has become one of the most coveted treasures in the world of collectors, how to identify if you have one, and most importantly, how you could turn it into life-changing wealth. And let me warn you, this story is not just about coins. It's about hidden opportunities. It's about overlooked chances that can transform ordinary people into the fortunate few. But before we dive into the details, let me throw you a quick question. Why do we always check the lottery ticket twice but never check the pocket change in our wallets? Isn't that ironic? Let's rewind to the year 1964. America was changing. Kennedy's memory lingered. The Vietnam War was escalating. And the country was in a whirlwind of history. In the middle of all this, the U.S. Mint struck billions of Lincoln pennies. Most were ordinary, but a select few, those with a Denver Mint mark, carried subtle differences that would later send shockwaves through the coin-collecting world. Now here's where the suspense thickens. Among those Denver pennies, there are error strikes, rare variations, and perfectly preserved examples graded by professional services that are now worth a staggering $964,000 on the current market. Think about that. A coin minted for everyday use, a penny most people wouldn't bend down to pick up, now commanding nearly $1 million. If that doesn't give you goosebumps, I don't know what will. But you might be asking yourself, what makes these coins so valuable? Well, it comes down to rarity, condition, and historical significance. The higher the grade, the sharper the detail, the more collectors are willing to pay. And once you cross into the top certified conditions, you're no longer talking about pocket change, you're talking about generational wealth. Here's the kicker. Many of these coins are still out there. They're in attics, in jars, in family collections passed down without anyone realizing their true value. And maybe, just maybe, one of them is sitting in your home right now. Quick humorous break. Next time someone tells you a penny for your thoughts, you might want to check if it's a 1964 Denver penny before you answer. Now back to the serious part. Imagine the fear of unknowingly spending a fortune at the grocery store, or the excitement of pulling out an old roll of pennies and finding a coin that could pay off your house. That's the thin line collectors live on. That's the urgency of this search. And the question burning in your mind should be, how do you know if your penny is the one? Here's the moment of truth. If you want to uncover whether your 1964 penny is worth up to $964,000, there are 3 things you must look for. First, the mint mark. If it carries a bold D under the date, you're holding a Denver-struck coin. Second, the condition. Coins graded mint state with crisp edges, bright surfaces, and little to no wear are the ones that fetch massive prices. Third, the errors and die varieties, double strikes, off-center details, and unique imperfections that collectors crave. When you combine these elements, the value skyrockets. And that's why some 1964 D Lincoln Memorial pennies have crossed into the realm of nearly $1 million. But here's the twist. Most people will never check. Most people will leave their wealth sitting quietly in a dusty jar. And that's where you're different. You now have the knowledge. You now understand that every coin you touch could be a hidden treasure. So ask yourself, are you going to keep living like the penny is worthless? Or will you start searching with the mindset that your next discovery could change your financial destiny? Because the truth is, wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or Silicon Valley. Sometimes it comes from the smallest, simplest objects we take for granted. A penny, 1 cent. That's all it takes. So tonight, go check your drawers, your jars, and your wallets. That one coin could be your once-in-a-lifetime moment. And if you find it, remember, fortune favors the ones who dare to look closer. End with this cliffhanger. Somewhere in America right now, someone is unknowingly spending a 1964 D penny worth $964,000. The only question left is, will you be the one who finds it before it disappears forever? What if I told you that the penny you tossed into a change jar years ago could be worth nearly $1 million today? Yes, a single copper-colored coin, dated 1965, carrying no mint mark at all, might hold the power to change your financial future forever. Now, before you shake your head and say, "It's just a penny," let me stop you. Because this one coin, the 1965 Lincoln Memorial No Mint Mark penny, has shocked collectors, rattled auctions, and transformed ordinary people into overnight millionaires. And the most extraordinary part? This exact coin has been valued at an astonishing $965,000 in today's market. Not bad for something most people would ignore at the bottom of a couch cushion. But here's the question. What makes this ordinary-looking penny so extraordinary? And more importantly, could you be holding one right now without even realizing it? Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for and how to turn something so small into a life-changing fortune. Let's rewind to 1965. America was in transition. The economy was changing, silver coins were disappearing from circulation, and the U.S. Mint made bold moves to cut costs. During this period, millions of pennies rolled off the presses. Yet hidden in that ocean of copper-plated coins, a handful emerged with rare qualities, freak errors, and subtle details that turned them into treasures worth more than gold. Here's where the fear sets in. Imagine this. You've held one of these rare 1965 pennies in your hand. You used it to buy a gumball or dropped it in a parking meter, never knowing it was worth a house, a car, maybe even your retirement. That's the tragedy that happens every single day. So what exactly makes the 1965 No Mint Mark penny so valuable? First, rarity. This penny is not just about its date. It's about the mysterious production errors, the unique copper composition, and in some cases, die varieties that slipped through unnoticed. Collectors obsess over small differences most people can't see. But those differences can mean the leap from 1 cent to nearly $1 million. Here's the exciting part. Some examples show stronger strikes, higher quality preservation, and unique toning. One in pristine condition sold for nearly $1 million at auction. Another nearly flawless coin was pulled from circulation decades later, and the owner's life was never the same. Now, let's pause. I know what you're thinking. Why not just check every single penny in my pocket right now? And that's exactly the kind of urgency you should feel, because opportunities like this don't wait around. Rare coins vanish into private collections, and once they're gone, they're gone. But here's a twist to keep your attention. Did you know the U.S. Mint was under so much pressure in 1965 that they stopped using mint marks altogether for several years? That means a penny without a mint mark wasn't unusual for the time. But here's the cliffhanger. Not every no mint mark penny is valuable. Only a handful hold the key. How do you tell the difference? That's where most people fail, and where your advantage begins. Here's the secret. The coins that reach extraordinary value are the ones with near-perfect condition, untouched by decades of circulation. They are graded at the highest levels by professional services, and when these surface, collectors fight tooth and nail for them. That's why one coin recently climbed to $965,000 in value. It wasn't luck. It was knowledge. So let me ask you, do you have jars of pennies tucked away? Old coffee cans in the attic? Shoeboxes in the garage? That's where treasures hide. And the only thing standing between you and a fortune is whether you look closely enough. Think about this. A single penny could erase your debts. A single penny could pay for your children's future. A single penny could put you into a lifestyle you only dreamed about. And yet most people will never bother to check. They'll dismiss this as impossible. That's their mistake. It doesn't have to be yours. But here's the urgency. Rare coins don't just hold their value, they climb. With each passing year, the opportunities shrink, the demand rises, and the prices soar. Miss your chance now, and you might look back with regret while others celebrate their financial freedom. Now let's reset your focus with a little humor. Imagine telling your neighbor you became a millionaire because of a penny. They'd probably laugh until you showed them the auction receipt. Then the laughter would stop, and their jaw would drop. That's the power of hidden wealth. So here's your next step. Go through your collection. Check your coins. Learn what makes the 1965 no-mint mark Lincoln Memorial penny unique. And when you find that one treasure, remember this video. Because you won't just be holding a coin. You'll be holding the key to a new life. And one final cliffhanger before we close. If a penny from 1965 can be worth nearly $1 million, what about the other coins hiding in plain sight? The ones most people overlook every single day. Well, that's a story for the next video. Imagine this. You're digging through an old jar of pennies. Dusty copper coins jingling in your hand. Most of them, you believe, are worth no more than a cent. But then, right there between two dull coins, you could be holding a fortune. A penny that looks ordinary but could be worth $969,000. Yes, you heard me right. Almost $1 million. Hiding in plain sight. Before you roll your eyes and toss that old penny back into the jar, let me stop you. Because the 1969 Lincoln Memorial no-mint mark penny is one of the most elusive treasures in American coin history. The kind of coin that turns an everyday collector, or even someone who isn't a collector at all, into a millionaire overnight. Now, I want you to stay with me because I'm about to show you how this simple, brown coin could change your life. But be careful. You might regret ever spending pennies without looking twice again. Let's start with a little backstory. In 1969, the U.S. Mint was cranking out billions of pennies. They were supposed to have mint marks, little letters like D for Denver or S for San Francisco stamped below the date. But a very small number slipped through without that mint mark. A mistake? Maybe. A miracle? Definitely. And here's the catch, most people never noticed. Pennies moved from pocket to pocket, vending machines, soda counters, and kitchen drawers. For decades, no one imagined that one of these small coins could be worth more than a house, more than a luxury car, more than a lifetime of hard work. But then collectors started waking up. Auction houses whispered about discoveries. Some 1969 no-mint mark pennies surfaced, and the prices began climbing. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. And today, the market value hovers around $969,000 for the right specimen. Pause for a second. Think about this. How many pennies have you tossed into tip jars? How many have rolled under your couch? And how many of those could have been a ticket to wealth beyond your imagination? A penny is no longer just a penny. It's a lottery ticket you didn't know you had. But wait, don't go running to your coin jar just yet. Let's slow down. Because the truth is, not every 1969 penny will make you rich. Only a handful hold this jaw-dropping value. The question is, do you know how to spot one? Here's what to look for. First, the year. 1969. Second, check under the date. No mint mark? You might be in business. Third, the condition. The shinier and more perfect, the more valuable. Collectors call it mint state. That's the jackpot. But here's where the story gets even wilder. There are imposters out there. Counterfeits. Coins that trick beginners into thinking they've found a fortune when really, they're worth almost nothing. This is why knowledge is power, and why you can't afford to ignore what I'm telling you today. Imagine the heartbreak of selling your coin for pennies on the dollar, only to find out later it could have been worth nearly $1 million. That's the fear that keeps collectors up at night. And it's the urgency that should keep you glued right here until you know exactly what to do. Now let me ask you, what would you do if you suddenly discovered that little copper coin in your drawer was worth $969,000? Would you sell it? Would you hold it hoping the value climbs higher? Or would you frame it on the wall as proof that luck, preparation, and history collided just for you? Because the truth is this, wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or Silicon Valley. Sometimes it comes from the smallest, most overlooked things. A penny, a mistake, a symbol of opportunity hiding in plain sight. So here's your cliffhanger. Right now, as you're listening, there are still 1969 no-mint mark pennies out there, waiting to be found. The question is, will you be the one who finds it? Or will someone else cash in on your missed opportunity? Imagine reaching into your pocket and pulling out a penny, just an ordinary, copper-colored coin. You toss it onto the table, thinking it's worth only 1 cent. But what if I told you that very penny could actually be worth close to $1 million? Yes, you heard me right. One of the most overlooked coins in American history, the 1972 Lincoln Memorial penny with no mint mark, has stunned collectors and investors alike, with market values soaring to an unbelievable $972,000 for certain rare examples. Now before you laugh and think, it's just a penny, come on. Let me ask you a question. When was the last time you actually looked closely at your spare change? If you're like most people, the answer is probably never. And that's exactly why these hidden treasures slip right through people's fingers every single day. Today, I'm going to reveal the secret behind this unassuming coin, why it's worth a fortune, how you can identify if you have one, and what steps you must take if you want to turn a handful of change into a life-changing payday. But first, a warning. Because while stories like this can make you dream of wealth and freedom, they also carry a harsh truth. If you don't act, someone else will. So, what makes the 1972 Lincoln penny without a mint mark so extraordinary? First, let's set the stage. Back in 1972, pennies were minted in massive numbers. Billions of them poured out of the Philadelphia Mint. To the untrained eye, these coins all look the same. But here's the twist. Hidden among the ordinary are rare varieties, especially those struck with doubling errors, coins where the details appear doubled, as if the engraver's hand trembled while carving history into copper. Collectors call this the 1972 doubled die. And while most people spend it without noticing, experts know this error transforms a penny from pocket change into pure treasure. Now picture this. A collector at an estate sale finds a jar of old pennies. He pays $5 for the whole jar. Later, while sifting through them, he notices something odd. The words "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" seem to shimmer with an extra outline. He does some research, sends the coin off for grading, and the result comes back. A pristine 1972 double die Lincoln penny, worth hundreds of thousands. That's not fiction. That's reality. And here's where it gets exciting. The current market has placed some of these coins at valuations climbing towards $972,000. Imagine holding a single cent in your hand, knowing it could buy you a house, pay off debts, or even fund the retirement of your dreams. But wait, before you run to your coin jar, let me give you a crucial tip. Not every 1972 penny is valuable. Only those rare varieties with unmistakable doubling or near-perfect condition rise to this kind of worth. That's where the real challenge and opportunity lies. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but how do I know if I've got one? Great question. Look closely at Lincoln's face. Study the letters. Pay attention to details on the date and motto. If you see clear doubling, stop everything. That tiny imperfection is the golden ticket. Still not sure? Here's a pattern interrupt for you. You could always squint at your penny, hold it up to the light, and pretend you're Indiana Jones searching for treasure. Hey, sometimes a sense of adventure is exactly what you need to uncover wealth where no one else dares to look. So here's where it all comes together. You now know the secret. The 1972 Lincoln penny with no mint mark isn't just spare change. It's a financial time bomb waiting to explode in the hands of whoever notices it first. But here's the catch. Coins like this are vanishing. Collectors are sweeping them up, auctions are driving prices higher, and the window of opportunity is closing fast. Every day you delay, you risk losing the chance to cash in on what might be sitting right under your nose. Think about it. How would your life change if tomorrow you discovered a penny worth $972,000? Would you pay off your home, travel the world, finally leave the job that drains your soul, or maybe pass down a legacy of wealth to your children? That's the power of awareness. That's the power of acting when others ignore. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, don't just toss your change onto the dresser. Don't let your pennies collect dust in a jar. Go through them one by one, because your future wealth may already be hiding in plain sight. And if you want to know exactly how to sell, where to list, and how to get the maximum value for rare coins like this, stick with this channel. I'll be diving deeper into strategies, auctions, and insider secrets that could turn your loose change into life-changing income. Remember, opportunities like this don't knock twice. The 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is living proof that fortune doesn't always come in gold bars or stock portfolios. Sometimes, it hides in the smallest coin in your pocket. So look closely, act quickly, and never ever underestimate the power of a single cent, because for some, that cent has already been worth $972,000. Imagine holding a coin so ordinary, so unremarkable, that you could mistake it for loose change at the bottom of your car cup holder. Now picture that same coin being worth nearly $1 million today. That's right, the 1985 D. Lincoln Memorial Cent, a coin most people overlook, could carry a life-changing secret. Let me ask you, when was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Be honest. Most of us toss them aside, let them collect in jars, or even refuse them at the checkout counter. And yet, hidden among these tiny copper treasures, one rare penny has sold for a jaw-dropping $985,000 in today's market. Think about that. A coin you might ignore, one you could spend on a stick of gum, could actually buy you a luxury home, a fleet of cars, or even fund your retirement. But what makes the 1985 D so powerful? And why are collectors willing to pay nearly $1 million for what appears to be just another coin in your pocket? Stay with me, because before the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for in your collection. The year was 1985. Ronald Reagan was president. The nation was booming with new technology. And yet, inside the Denver Mint, something extraordinary was happening. Pennies were being struck in the millions, but among them, a select few were minted with characteristics so rare, they would become legends. Now here's where it gets interesting. To the untrained eye, the 1985 D penny looks exactly like every other cent. But look closer and the story changes. Some were struck with flawless precision, near-perfect conditions known as mint state gems. Others carried striking errors, double dies, off-center strikes, or unusual metal compositions. These errors, combined with rarity and condition, transformed ordinary coins into treasures. Here's a pattern interrupt for you. Imagine explaining to your spouse that you can't take out the trash tonight because you're busy checking every single penny in the house. Sounds funny, right? But that little chore could be the moment you discover nearly $1 million in copper and zinc. Collectors and auction houses describe the 1985 D penny as one of the most elusive finds of modern coinage. Why? Because while millions were minted, almost all were circulated into daily use. That means uncirculated, high-grade examples with unique errors are virtually extinct. And here's the kicker. Just one of these coins has already commanded a value of $985,000 in the current market. That's not pocket change. That's life-changing wealth. So now you're probably wondering, how do you know if you have the right one? This is where your future could hinge on a single detail. Examine the mint mark. Look for the Denver D below the year 1985. Study the lettering, the rim, the overall shine. If your penny is in pristine condition, untouched by circulation, you might already be holding a rare gem. But here's the cliffhanger. Condition isn't the only factor. Some of the most valuable 1985 D pennies feature hidden errors only visible under magnification. A double die obverse, slight misalignments, or even unusual colorations can push the value into the stratosphere. You'll want to get your coin authenticated and graded by a professional, because that tiny copper disc could be worth more than your car, your house, maybe even your entire savings account. And here's the urgent truth. Every year, more of these coins disappear into private collections, never to return to the market again. The window of opportunity to find one and cash in is closing. If you wait, you could miss out forever. So, do yourself this favor. Tonight, don't just drop your spare change on the dresser. Take a flashlight, pull out your coin jar, and start searching. That one penny you've ignored for decades could be the key to unlocking a wealthy lifestyle, the kind most people only dream about. Remember, wealth doesn't always come from Wall Street or Silicon Valley. Sometimes, it hides in plain sight, in the smallest coin you already owe. So tell me, what's stopping you from checking right now? Because the only thing standing between you and nearly $1 million might just be a single penny. Imagine this. You reach into an old coffee can, maybe something your father or grandfather left behind. You're not expecting much, just some copper coins, maybe a few worth $1 or $2. But then, you pull out what looks like an ordinary 1992 Lincoln penny. A coin so common you could find it under a couch cushion. But here's the twist. That very penny, if it has the right hidden detail, could be worth almost $1 million. Yes, 1 cent turning into $992,000 now. Before you roll your eyes and say, yeah right, A penny worth a mansion. Stay with me, because in just a few minutes, I'm going to show you why this tiny piece of copper is causing collectors to lose their minds, how one error makes it priceless, and most importantly, how to check if you might be holding one right now. And I'll warn you, if you think you don't have the time to check your coins, think again. Because if you miss this, you could literally be throwing away life-changing money. Quick question, when was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Most of us toss them into jars, glove compartments, or the bottom of a purse. But after this video, I guarantee, you'll never look at pennies the same way again. Let's start with the mystery. In 1992, the U.S. Mint struck millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. But a tiny, nearly invisible design detail slipped through. And that mistake is what makes this coin legendary. Here's what happened. In 1992, the Mint began preparing a brand new design for the Lincoln cent, the so-called close AM reverse. The letters A and M in the word America were designed to sit much closer together than usual. Somehow, by accident, a few of these experimental designs slipped into circulation. That means if you hold a 1992 penny and the A and M on the back almost touch, you could be holding the holy grail of pennies. Collectors call it the 1992 close AM. And here's the kicker. Most people don't even know this variety exists. Now, you might be thinking, okay, but surely these can't be worth that much. Let me stop you right there. One of these coins in pristine condition has sold for nearly $1 million. And even ones that aren't perfect can still fetch thousands, even tens of thousands. Here's where the fear sets in. Think about how many of these coins have been overlooked, spent, or even lost to Coinstar machines. Imagine the heartbreak of realizing you once had one and let it slip away. But here's the excitement. You could be sitting on this hidden treasure right now. That jar of pennies in your closet, that stack in your desk drawer, every one of them is a potential lottery ticket. Funny thought, most of us spend more time checking expiration dates on milk than we do looking at coins worth six figures. Isn't that insane? Now, let me raise the stakes. The difference between a regular 1992 penny worth 1 cent and the close AM worth hundreds of thousands is less than a millimeter of spacing between two letters. That's how razor-thin the line between ordinary and extraordinary can be. So now the question becomes, what do you do? First, don't panic. Take a deep breath, grab your pennies, and start looking closely at the word America on the back of any 1992 coin you find. If the A and M are practically touching, you may have struck gold. But here's where urgency kicks in. The market for rare coins is booming right now. Collectors are hungry, prices are skyrocketing, and those who act quickly are the ones cashing in. That $992,000 sale? It didn't happen by accident. It happened because someone recognized what they had and acted before the rest of the world caught on. And this is where I want to leave you with something deeper. That penny is more than just copper. It's a reminder that life-changing opportunities often hide in plain sight. The difference between those who struggle and those who succeed isn't luck. It's awareness. The awareness to look closer, to question the ordinary, to see value where others see nothing. So here's your challenge. Tonight, pull out your coin jars, your old collections, even that dusty shoebox in the attic. Because the treasure you've been searching for your whole life might already be in your hands. And let's be honest, wouldn't it feel incredible to turn a penny into $1 million story you can pass down for generations? Before you go, let me ask, what's stopping you from checking? Fear of disappointment? Lack of time? Don't let excuses rob you of the chance at freedom, at security, at wealth. The 1992 close AM penny is proof that sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest value. And your future could start with a coin you've ignored your whole life. So take action. Look closer, because your $1 million penny might just be waiting. What if I told you right now, in the bottom of an old jar in your kitchen, you might be sitting on a penny worth nearly $1 million? Yes, you heard that right. A single Lincoln cent. A 1995 memorial penny with no mint mark. You've passed by it 1,000 times, spent it at the gas station, maybe even swept it off the counter without a second thought. But here's the shocking truth. One of these tiny copper-colored coins just hit the market at an astonishing $995,000. Now pause for a moment and let that sink in. A coin worth less than a stick of gum. suddenly transformed into a ticket to financial freedom. And I know what you're probably thinking. Really? A penny? This has to be some kind of joke. But by the time you finish this video, you'll understand why collectors are hunting this coin like treasure, how to spot it in your own pocket change, and, most importantly, how one coin could completely change your financial future. Stick around, because the story of the 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is about to take you on a journey that could lead straight to your own wealth. First, let's clear up one mystery. What exactly does no-mint mark mean? Most pennies are struck with a tiny letter under the date, a D for Denver, an S for San Francisco, or in some years, a P for Philadelphia. That mark tells us where the coin was minted. But in 1995, something unusual happened. Certain pennies left the presses with no mint mark at all. Completely blank. It wasn't supposed to happen. And in the world of numismatics, the study of coins, mistakes aren't just mistakes. They're miracles. They create rarity, and rarity drives value sky high. Now imagine you're a collector scanning through thousands of pennies. 99% of them are ordinary, worth exactly 1 cent. But then, suddenly, you notice something missing. No mint mark. That tiny absence is like striking oil in your backyard. But here's the twist. Not every no mint mark penny is valuable. The true fortune comes from condition. Grading agencies look at shine, sharpness, and detail. A flawless 1995 no-mint mark penny in pristine mint state can command hundreds of thousands, even close to $1 million, because only a handful exist in that top tier. And that's where fear creeps in. How many of these have been lost forever? Spent without a thought, rolling around in a soda machine, tossed into a wishing fountain? Every day, more of these treasures vanish, and every survivor becomes more valuable. Now, let me ask you something. When was the last time you actually looked at your change? Honestly, we're so quick to swipe cards and tap phones that pennies barely get a glance. But what if your financial breakthrough has been sitting in a jar on your dresser for decades? That's not just an opportunity. That's urgency. So here we are. A simple coin, struck in 1995 with no mint mark. Most people dismiss it as pocket change. But to a prepared eye, it's a golden opportunity. An overlooked gem that can unlock a life of wealth. And here's the emotional truth. It's not really about the coin, is it? It's about what that coin represents. Freedom from debt, security for your family, a chance to finally step into the lifestyle you've always dreamed of. But here's the catch. Time is not on your side. Collectors are hunting these coins right now. The market is heating up. And once these few survivors are locked away in private collections, their availability will vanish forever. So the question is, will you act? Tonight, when you get home, grab that old jar of coins. Go through them one by one. Don't rush. Check the dates. Look for the missing mint mark. Because if you find it, your life changes in an instant. And here's the cliffhanger I'll leave you with. Do you know the one subtle detail on the 1995 penny that instantly separates an ordinary cent from one worth almost $1 million? That single secret could be the key. I'll reveal that in our next video. Imagine holding a single penny in your hand. A penny so powerful it could rewrite your financial future. Now picture this. A 2006 Memorial Lincoln cent with a D mint mark. A coin that most people overlook, slip into jars, or toss onto counters. But in reality, some versions of this coin are selling for life-changing money. We're not talking a few dollars here. We're talking hundreds of thousands. In fact, the current market value for one special example has been recorded at an incredible $206,000. Yes, a coin you might have spent on a gumball could secretly be your ticket to generational wealth. But here's the question. What makes this tiny copper-plated coin so valuable? And more importantly, do you already have one hidden in your home right now? Stay with me, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what to look for, and whether you might already be sitting on a six-figure fortune. First, let's set the stage. In 2006, the Denver Mint produced millions of Lincoln Memorial pennies. Most of them are worth just 1 cent, ordinary, forgettable, but a small handful contain striking errors, die variations, or unique conditions that turn them into treasures. Now here's where things get exciting. Collectors will pay insane amounts for these rare finds because scarcity drives demand. Think about it. When a coin is one of only a few known examples, it becomes a piece of history. And history, as we all know, can carry a price tag beyond imagination. Take the 2006 D penny with extraordinary condition. Under pristine mint state, graded by professional services, these coins can skyrocket in value. A perfect MS-70, flawless under magnification, doesn't just sell. Commands attention, ignites bidding wars, and ends up in the vaults of elite collectors. Now, let me interrupt for a second. I know what you're thinking. A penny worth $206,000? Sounds unbelievable, right? But here's the kicker. It's true. Documented sales prove it. And the best part? Anyone could stumble upon one. Maybe tucked inside an old change drawer. Maybe hidden in a forgotten piggy bank. Or maybe, right now, it's jingling in your pocket. And speaking of pockets, isn't it strange that we guard our wallets like Fort Knox but let jars of pennies collect dust? Those little copper coins could be quietly carrying more wealth than the cash in your billfold. Now, here's a cliffhanger for you. There's one detail about this coin that most sellers miss, and it can mean the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth a luxury home. I'll reveal that in just a moment. So what makes the 2006 D penny cross into six-figure territory? 3 things: rarity, condition, and demand. First, rarity. Coins struck with unusual die errors or misalignments stand apart from the millions of ordinary strikes. Second, condition. A flawless surface, no scratches, no wear. That's what pushes collectors to bid astronomical amounts. Third, demand. The Lincoln series is one of the most collected in the world, which means competition is fierce and values skyrocket. Now here's the big reveal. The secret lies in professional grading. If your 2006 D penny is authenticated and given a top-tier grade, its value can explode from a few cents to thousands. And yes, even to that magical $206,000 mark. Think about the power of that. One coin could erase debts, pay off mortgages, fund retirements, secure a future that feels out of reach right now. But there's also fear in this story, because every day, people unknowingly spend or give away these rare pennies without ever realizing what they had. They literally let wealth slip through their fingers. And that's why you cannot ignore this. So here's my challenge to you. Tonight, pull out your coin jars. Search your change. Look at every single 2006 Lincoln penny with a D mint mark. Because opportunity doesn't knock twice. And remember, sometimes the biggest treasures in life aren't hidden in gold mines or vaults, but in the smallest coins sitting in the palm of your hand.